Yeah, it's Northstone Studios. Forgotten the address, but it's in Coleman Manor. It's at the back of the manor. It's a beautiful sounding studio, just by accident and design, really. But there was some technical effort on my behalf to get it right. But yeah, it sounds really good. But yeah, we are doing local bands. We've done about 2 local bridge end bands at the moment, and we've done a band that I worked with before. And they're sort of like hard rock stroke metal. And then we do have, hopefully we have this bigger project coming in. So yeah, it's to suit all, really. And Jason, the guy that owns the studio, he's pretty flexible as well on prices and stuff, because we know it's like, times are hard these days. So it's like you have to sort of fluctuate with the jobs being, sent to you, really. So yeah, we did this girl from New Zealand as well. She flew from New Zealand just to work with us in that studio. And she's actually got a deal with RCA. And she's back in February to do a whole album there. But she's like a really quirky sort of pop singer. It's really good, great, interesting voice. And she's got like a development deal, so they needed to hear one song, and how she found us is beyond me, but she did. And we done the first song, and they kicked in a full-blown deal, so she's booked to do the rest of the album in there. But yeah, like an acoustic guitar player we did as well, with like singer-songwriter type thing. That was really cool. But it was, she had some good stuff, good ideas, but it was all a bit mental. It was all over the shop, really. And it's nice doing that, because you can like focus, just pass on knowledge to these people. It's like you can't just be strumming chords for like 32 bars before you start singing. People, the next generation's not going to have that. It's like they're going to switch you off before the vocals start. So yeah, and I really enjoy working with younger artists and stuff, and trying to push them in a direction of where it's a bit more accessible to people. That's what your job is, really, at the end of the day. But it's not just a studio where you'll come and record. I will, and so Jace is a great songwriter too, the guy that owns it. So yeah, we just got together and battled it out for her, and it sounds really good. Again, she got a nice voice, but there's an arrangement. It was just a bit too all over the shop. But it's nice doing that, and then it's like she's now gone off and started to rearrange her songs more to the 3-minute little pop song, because people's attention spans are getting less and less. So if you don't hit it, if that vocal don't hit at the right time, you just lose them straight away. You forget it. Like, nobody's going to listen to it. They're going to switch off. Yeah, so it's accessible to anybody, really. Yeah, the prices ain't, they ain't extortionate anyway. Only to record labels. You mean Cardiff as a city, you mean? Well, I mean, they don't, city councils have never really done anything for music. It always goes to the middle class, theatres and, what I call street music. They have no interest at all. And really, it's better off that they have nothing to do with it, really. Because out of, my belief is out of struggle comes greatness, It's like if you're born with a silver spoon, it's like nobody ends up doing anything because you're already too comfortable. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I don't think it's the kids themselves, like you're doing here, making a little magazine, I guess, for online and stuff. That's what it needs more of. you know, to promote local bands, get interviews for local bands. You know, they can make, you could maybe put up videos of their songs, etc. Stuff, you know, like that is important, but the city itself is like better off not having them involved, really. And they never have, so, and they never will. It's like, it, you know, I do believe in France. When we first started touring in France, you can get, like, they give you money if you're an artist, and that could be anything from a mime artist to a drummer, yeah. And they will, so that you can focus on your art. You can get a grant to live on, and it's quite a sizable amount of money. I don't know if it still exists, but I was talking to some French guys who supported their band when we went to France and stuff, and it's like they were dreadful, absolutely dreadful, because they're just getting given money, so the urgency is not there. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? I think it's like, and kids should struggle in music. It makes for a better song. Nobody wants happy shit. You know what I mean? The best songs are always miserable. Look at Adele, for instance. You know, sorrow sells, and hardship sells. So, you know, on that front, you make your own gains in music. I'm afraid it's never been any different. Apart from, there used to be a path. You know, immediate. You know, like you'd sign a record deal, you'd get an agent, and then there would be a path of touring that you would do. That was all. But unfortunately, you have to do that yourself now. But I don't think it's no crying shame, because they just fleece you anyway. You know, I mean, a record deal is like useless. I mean, every record sold, the average royalty for a band is 12 pence per album. Did you know that? That's going to be your income from a selling of one CD. You'll get 12 pence. So if it's £10, you get 12 pence, and they get the rest. What's that all about? I think Michael Jackson had 20 pence, the equivalent of 20 pence, and Elton John, I think, has a deal like that. And think of how many records Michael Jackson sold, because he was minted. So by not signing a record deal, if you sell a CD at your show, or you sell it online, or it's a streamed album and you sell it on iTunes, you get all the money. That never used to happen. So the incentive to actually, you know, to get up there and start selling some stuff is tenfold what I went through, really. Because you're never going to make anything. And if you think, you know, back in like the Skinhead days, I think it was like £150,000 every video we shot. We got an advance of £200,000. Then the record cost $300,000 to make. So you're into £1 million worth of money that they've spent. So before you get your 12p, you have to pay off that million before you get your 12p. So the chances of recouping is zero. Unless you're Elton John, though. You have to sell millions upon millions. So the incentive's there. You know, I know some very savvy bands that are making money, making a couple of grand a week just off online stuff. And it's all theirs, like. There's no one dipping in. There's no one like, last hours, we'll send you 30 pence later. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's a good thing, but a bad thing. Unfortunately, the pool is vast. So you just have to be, all I can say is focus on your songwriting, really. You get that right, and shit will follow. Yeah, now that's again is like, that's where it's all become disconnected, you know. You need some good venues, basically. What I see the problem with Newport, Cardiff, everywhere else, there doesn't seem to be any scenes. But I mean, it's a stupid word, a scene, but like, you know, I can only focus on what I done, and it's like back in our day, me and Richard's day, is like we created our own scene, and it's like that all got created out of TJ's, which is quite a big venue in Newport. It's not there anymore, unfortunately. The owner died and the property got sold off, and that's the end of that. But and it came from some great promoters bringing in really good underground American bands used to play there. So the local bands like myself and Richard's band, the 60-Foot Dolls, we would always get on support slots with these people, and because that venue got built up via these promoters who knew great agents that could get hold of these bands regular, so it was that a scene started because it was a regular thing. So like people would travel down from the valleys, Cardiff, to come to TJ's to see this band where they wouldn't have anywhere else to see that band. You know, they might play somewhere in Cardiff as well, but so it has to be the people have to get together really, but that wasn't, nobody got together and went, we're going to create this thing. It just happened, and everybody did their little bit towards it, and it grew and grew. That doesn't seem to happen anymore. Everybody's just sat in their bedrooms listening to Spotify. It's like, people moan that there's nowhere to go and see bands, and then bands get put on, and they don't go anyway because they're too busy listening to YouTube or surfing the internet. It's like, do you know what I'm saying? You know, they'll end up with no legs in a few years. You know what I mean? Just have hands for the keyboard. So people it's the kids themselves, you know, musicians themselves create the scenes and create the venues, then you create a buzz, and consequently for TJ's, I had to, like I said earlier, I had to move to London to get things started, because no A&R guys would come to Newport, no press, it was all London or Manchester, and that's that. Like you're either in those places or you're not. But then when TJ's, that thing started to explode a bit, you'd have all the press would come down to Wales, to Newport, to TJ's. So you'd have Kerrang in there, you'd have Enemy, you'd have all the big magazine journalists, and then all these A&R guys would start to appear then to see these bands who were supporting the main bands, because there was a little buzz created, and it just exploded into this massive thing. And it's like, if that had happened a couple of years ago, I probably wouldn't have had to move to London and live in squats. So you create it yourself, really. It gets created by nothing to do with councils, and it's just the people, the kids themselves, you know. And we had, much like what you're doing, we had this, what you called a fanzine thing, that was, you know, it'd be in the bars in all the local pubs and stuff. And it's like, oh, you know, you could see who was playing at TJ's, you know, over the next month or whatever. It's like, oh, if they're coming, let's see if we can get support. So we go over and see the promoter. Hey, you got no one supporting on that thing. Can we do yeah, you know, give you 50 quid. Yeah, that's no problem. We just want to do the gig, because we know there's going to be industry people there. So you have to create it yourself. And how it happens, I don't know, but it has to come from the street, really. I would say the street and the musicians themselves. I know a lot, you know, a lot of musicians moan about there's nothing. It's like, well, I got up and moved to London for 10 years to get myself sorted. It's an extreme measure, but you have to put the time in, and it comes from the bands themselves, really, and promoters just getting together with, you know, venues. Find a venue yourself, promote it yourself, you know what I mean? Unfortunately, it's more difficult to get the kids out of the house these days, because we have the internet. So it's a launch pad, but also it's killing the live scene, and we know the internet killed the music business already. It's pretty much dead, but just got to be clever enough to rise above, really, or whatever the equivalent of getting on the motorway and hitchhiking to London is. I don't know what that is, but it's got to be out there.
I heard a burst between the gods and the rocks. You got a sticky situation. If love was lost, you're never gonna turn it